We're on. I'd like to call the November 2020 engineering meeting committee meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Is there any adjustments to the agenda? Nope. Good to go. Motion for approving the agenda.
I motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any public comment? Is there any no comment this time? There's nobody online anymore, right?
Nobody online at this time.
Thank you. Approval of minutes. Did you have any?
Did not have any changes. I motion to approve.
I second the motion to approve the October minutes in the packet. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval minutes are approved. Item number 4, capacity fee study.
Who's
leading this off?
I'm going to lead this to Sean and Don. I think Don more so because he was involved with the board meeting last week and has some information regarding the CIP table. Oh, with the capacity fee study. Oh, there we go. The board will be seeing the capacity fee study next year, and it will be brought to the committee at the next meeting in December. Yeah, wrong item, sorry.
A short dissertation on the what the capacity fee study involves, just for the record.
The capacity fee, the connection fee, we like to call it in engineering, that will be increasing in the fee to cover costs, future costs. That would be part of the draft. We'll have a BEEB participate in our meeting in December for the committee.
So this is a rate fee study to analyze the, not a fee study to analyze the connections connecting
fee study
to the system.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is for the connections, for somebody to basically their buy into the system.
Right.
It takes into account everything from the capital improvement projects, water rights that would be necessary, and just the initial review of that project to begin with. Since it hasn't been touched in over 10 years, it's I
Needs
don't
to
want to
be
say
updated, I'd
substantial,
say.
but it's
It's time.
it's time, and it's kind of right in line with what you would see for the cost of living, the cost of goods and services over the years. So it's nothing, it's not going to double the cost of the connections or anything, and it's still being worked on at this point. But we're trying to keep it as reasonable as we can.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So that's it for the item 4. Item 5, OSD Recharge Study Project.
Nothing new to update on
Nothing on
that.
that.
Nothing new to update.
Do they have staff still working on that, or do they have staff anymore?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony is still involved in this project. So.
Okay.
One has left, but wasn't involved in the recharge basin project.
Okay.
Don't tell me he went to whoever left went to Lahontan.
No.
That's where they seem to all go.
No, Nick Snyder, he was in water conservation. He was working with legislative, with Mojave and Sacramento, and he moved on. That's I believe, the one you're speaking of.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tony Winkle and I can't think of the other gentleman that's involved in the project. They're still involved and very engaged.
And I believe Mojave Water Resources Division, I think they have 2 positions they're filling currently. So they're adding adequate staff.
All right, so that finishes item number 5. Item 6 is the discussion regarding the water system.
So as a handout this evening or this afternoon, We do have our 10-year CIP. That'll be our 6th bullet down under. Our pump and well services agreement, the board was kind enough to grant a 1-year extension. That'll sunset May 20th in 2020. What year are we in? 2024 is when that contract, so
May 2024?
April
April 2024.
of 2024, correct. So next year, about this time, an RFP will go out for the new well and booster services maintenance agreement. Our 10-year tank rehabilitation and maintenance service contract is in place. We're going to begin our washout season next week. We're scheduled for the first of 10 for the year. And also our interior coating that is part of that contract at 2C, I believe. That'll be taking place right about February. We'll start draining and blasting the interior. We got to time it with the temperatures because epoxy doesn't really love cold temperature. So we got to find
Yeah,
that
I mean,
Goldilocks
you're
April,
looking
May.
at March or something to do that, right? It's pretty cold.
Water quality, I have some great news. UCMR 5, we had budgeted $25,000 for sampling. That's going to be substantially less, to the tune of $5,000 to $10,000, because they're not focusing on raw water. The EPA considers chlorination addition treatment as where the state of California does not recognize chlorine addition as treatment. So it's only post-treatment samples. So what that means is every well where we chlorinate, the effluent after the chlorine is going to be sampled. So what that kind of tells me, we're not looking for raw water contamination or constituents in this UCMR event. They're looking at post-chlorination, so disinfection byproducts, haloacetic acids, trihalomethanes. But good news for us, costs substantially less sample for all that.
So if you've got wellhead chlorination, you don't have to sample the well.
So correct. So no raw water will be sampled. It's all post-chlorination.
Right.
So it takes us from, I believe, it was 30 some odd sampling sites, drops us to 7 or 8. Our service line replacement program, we're at 156 services replaced calendar year to date, and 28 services replaced fiscal year to date. Staff's also working on some cost-cutting measures for that as well. Some good news. I don't want to say summer's over, but summer's definitely winding down. Well 14 for the month. We only pumped about a 1/4 acre foot. That's standard. That's
just enough to keep it lubed.
samples, and I hate to say that's almost a non-negotiable, but we have to do what we have to do for samples. So we're at 5.23 acre foot for the year at $1,055 per acre foot, so it's about $5,000 in total for the year. Substantially less. Last year, I believe we were around $130,000 for replacement water. So we made it through summer. Yay.
Goodness.
Good.
Our water meter replacement project, we're at 3,211 out of the 7,201. We're about 45%. We're always asking, when are we going to get meters? I'm happy to report every
Yes.
meter to change out the district is here in Phelan. We have it. Now, the bad news to that, it takes 2 parts to make this meter work. There's the meter and the MXU, or the radio. We got the meters. We're working on getting the radios. As soon as we have the radios, we actually met with our rep yesterday to see if we can't stagger receiving shipment to begin to mobilize our meter changeout company, Concord, to where we'll start getting trickles of those MXUs that'll keep up. Basically, we start the change out now to where we meet our obligation for this fiscal. We're just about 95% done with equipping the community water fill station with electric service. We'll have cameras down there. I'm happy to report the well 11 rehab project is completely done. It's back online. It's got a nice new pump to waste. We saw that chromium dip down a tiny bit because we raised the pump setting, and production went up about 5 gallons a minute. We've just shy of 5 million gallons of water dispensed from the community water fill station, right about 4.7 million gallons. Again, it's just very well received by the community. People seem to love it. So
It'll pay for itself.
yeah, Lori and I would differ on our numbers on that, but I'll trust hers more. We've also sold 76 meters this calendar year. You just note we sold 95 in 2021. So construction is definitely slowing. There's 1 or 2 contractors that keep us kind of busy this year, but we're definitely seeing that signs of slowing. And then production was up just a tiny bit, 2% more than we saw in 2021 for October.
The construction meters that you have out, you have 7 of them out now.
Correct.
Has that been about the same amount lately?
It's slightly
or-
lower.
Well, like for the last couple months, I guess.
It's higher. We have several projects we didn't have. One of those being that we're seeing on Phelan Road, Mayday Cast 2. So they, I don't want to speculate when they're going to be done because of the weather. Every time we seem to think they're definitely moving forward. And then 2 meters come back, which is running right in line with where we normally are.
Okay.
And our other repairs, replacements, and updates. We're getting into our booster rehab season. So we'll be pulling a couple boosters to get those kicked off for this year. Swapping out the stuffing boxes for mechanical seals. And then under other.
And that's normal repairs that we have in the budget.
Yes, sir. We budget $60,000 for 4 of them this year.
Yeah.
That's our target. And on our last bullet point, as a handout, we do have our 10-year CIP, which is in regards to the water system, so we'll have to cover that one here.
And we can just spend a few minutes on that. You can see that, and I don't have the prior one, which showed where we moved some of those numbers from, but the ones that are in red have been pushed back a little bit, some of them for a couple of years. We had really nothing in the 2026, 2027 budget year at one point. It was just, we had waited until we were through the discussions of the Sheep Creek consolidation on what to do with that. We got to the point now to where we're seeing a couple of things. Number one is we have a better time frame for the building, which is kind of the top part, for our, I guess that's number 2, item number 2. We have a better
The
idea of
Civic
what the
Center
cost is,
project.
the Civic Center project. Some of the things that we thought we might need to do, we won't need to do, and some of that is based on the probably the drop in connections that we're going to see over the next couple of years. With interest rates being what they are, you saw it drop off about 25% from the year before, and we do expect it to continue to drop off. We did go for a number of years, as you remember, where we had either 0 or just a few meters. I don't think we're going to be there, but what that does is give us a little reprieve in some of these projects that would be constructed due to growth in the system. But if we're not seeing the big growth, we won't have the funding for it, nor will we have the need for the additional storage facilities at this point.
So have you created some graphs, some predictions on the trends and what the demand would be a year or 2 out, and how we're situated in the demand? We also have eventually the new well coming on, so
Yes.
so that covers the supply end of it. It's just the water rights, I guess, would really be.
Yeah, and the water rights right now, you can see that we moved the water rights out a little bit. That's under item number 1. Right now, there's not a lot for sale. There's 2 people in the community that have any amount of water rights. One is Ducommon and the other one is Hedega Dairy. But with the ramp downs being at close to 50% right now and dropping down to 25% for the free production allowance,
It's not worth it.
it really makes the value of the water go down. So we're evaluating all of our different options for how to do this, including discussions for possibly using our cubed water through Mojave or with the recharge basins. So we just felt it was prudent to push those back just a
Yeah,
little bit.
I agree. The value of water rights when it's dropping, what's available to pump is
Not worth as much.
no.
Yeah,
no.
and I have to give it to staff. Our production capabilities have gone way up from where they were, and also the demand on the system is down. We didn't pump well 14 other than just to keep it lubricated this year, and we did not have any of the issues that we thought we were going to have last year. I mean, this year was very, very smooth.
Right.
And we also just today have, it's called Rain for Rent. They're a company you rent water pipe from. they're doing a high line to serve construction water at well 15. So as Don alluded, our production capabilities, well 15, we anticipate starting drilling in the next week to 3 weeks. So the rig is supposed to be mobilizing. So we have construction water being delivered to the site. George had the surveyors out there Monday. Everything's staked out, so well 15 is also progressing.
That's ready.
So we anticipate next summer being even easier than this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the supply is, I think, pretty positive with the new well. It's just the rights and the costs of water. That's what is next in line.
Yep.
Just to answer your question on projections, the water master plan kind of outlined what that would look like in phases. Not necessarily where development would be, but just where that demand would be based on.
I know, those
Population.
are estimates. We've
Yeah.
got another year of data to plug in,
Yeah.
basically. Watch the curves start bending back down on meters and things like that.
So we have on our table, the first, item number 1 is our hex chrome. Again, we anticipate that MCL being delivered 2024, 2025. They are going to give a 2 to 4 year compliance window for larger districts. Smaller districts will get 2. We anticipate 4. Somewhere between 2025 and 2027, the MCL for hex chrome, we anticipate, and it is going to be 10, being in full effect. And just a quick update for the committee, and we can give one to the board. Currently today, 3 of our wells are over 10 part per billion on average. So, one, the capacity is just not there. That wouldn't warrant profiling. We'd abandon. And then the other 2, we've profiled 1. We'd have to enact what we know there and then fully profile well 14 in addition to well 15. So we definitely have a game plan, and well 15 plays right into our hand and right into our timeline for hex chrome. We're looking in a really positive manner for that.
So is it going to be 10 parts per billion in the system?
Wellhead.
Or is it going to be wellhead?
Wellhead.
It is going to be wellhead.
Yeah, the state, as much as I've tried,
Because nitrates, are system-wide.
yeah.
Because you can blend in a tank. If it doesn't go straight into your system, you can pump into a tank that blends nitrates down. But the chromium-6 is going to be just wellhead.
So we've had extensive conversations and pleas with the state on interzonal blending, much like that. In a nutshell, not for chromium.
No
They
go,
will
huh?
not allow it. And also there was districts pursuing, it's a tin-based acid, it's called stannous chloride. It converts hexchrome to trivalent chromium. Well, when you add bleach back to it, long story short, and that dirty little secret.
It goes back
They
to
didn't really
the-
want to publish it. Exactly. It
Yeah.
reoxidizes to hex.
I know.
So you get about a 28-day reprieve. So if you can consume that water in a month or so. But anyways, we don't need to go there because we got profiling. We're going to be in a
Right.
good way. So, but as we look at line item 1, we've budgeted for everything we just mentioned.
So you believe that through the profiling that we've already done on the existing wells, any well that is over right, and 14 is, I don't even think we're gonna need to use it once we get the new well online, hopefully. So,
Right.
I hopefully agree, but to count that towards our max day, we have to remove our largest source. So either it'll be well 15 or well 14. We would still have to profile 14 to count it towards our source capacity, and I would very much urge we do that. Very, very strongly. It is a necessity.
why don't you bring a diagram to the engineering meetings next time, a diagram of 14?
Like a cross-section?
Well, yeah, where things are, I actually have that well report.
Or of our production capacity source analysis, 'cause we have both.
So the water level's about 500, 4 something in that well.
At 14,
Yeah,
about 5 1/4.
at 5 1/4. I just was, Okay, there's some options that we have there, so if you can bring the information to one of the meetings, we can go over it and
What do you want
anyways.
them to bring back though?
I can
The,
bring
where the pump's set,
And
you know, and the well structure.
construction of
Yeah,
well.
well
Okay.
construction. I think I gave you guys that report that I had it was Bartow that put that well
Yeah, I
in.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, we have those details in
Yeah.
our
Because we
binders
never
there.
lose anything.
Except our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could bring that back, because I do have some ideas on that. Anyways,
On item number 2, the Civic Center funding source, we included 2.3 million for 24-25. This was discussed at the last board meeting on funding. So that would be the total cost of the project, 11.3 million. So that was included in 24-25. And item 3.
well, one question. The Civic Center costs to date are 726.
Where are you reading that?
Or is that just
In
21,
21,
22?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the 720, that's actual cost?
That's cost to date.
That's real cost to
Yeah.
date, yeah.
And then we have, excuse me, 5 million for this coming year? Or actually,
Yeah, this fiscal year. So we're hoping to break ground, well, kind of bring it to the board sometime, March, April.
so
monies-
before,
monies will be
my
spent.
question was before July.
Yes, monies will be spent.
George promises it will be before
Be-
July.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that moves over another year, right?
Well, it
So-
kind of impacts our
Loans.
application for funding on that
Yeah,
as
and
well.
we're actually, the application for the funding, the resolution will be coming to the board at the next board meeting.
Okay, because we approved it.
Yes.
So-
Yep. So we were
So-
actually on the phone working the details out prior to the
That was
meeting.
my only question was, July will be around pretty quick by the time, so this 5 million is still good for this calendar year?
Yeah.
This
the
budget.
Monies will be spent,
Okay.
yes. We have to, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
In item number 3, those were the tanks that were identified in the water master plan. And that's really more the capacity that was originally budgeted for 25-26. We moved it out to 26-27. That's what you had seen in the old CIP table prior, so it got pushed out. I just want to make a note on Reservoir 6A. 6A is that tank that sits
Right there.
over at the end of Sheep Creek Road. This coming week, Monday, Tuesday, there'll be some field testing that might indicate what we do with that tank, whether we make that a high priority, not to push it any time sooner, but just to kind of possibly push the other 3 tanks out further. But we'll discuss that later in our budget process.
It might necessitate a board item for Pinion Hills pipeline materials, December 7th meeting, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll bear that one in mind.
Okay.
And so what you see in red for totals are just the amounts totaled on those columns there.
And what we just referred to is covered under line item number 6. That'll be before the board December 7th, if everything happens the way it should.
Okay. And if we go to the next page on item 14, there's, and this is an item that was adjusted from 3,500, and that was based on server and workstation upgrade recommendations. We now have a new IT that come in and had an assessment done on our equipment, and they made some highly recommended upgrades to some aging hardware. So that was included for 23-24. So that's for next fiscal year.
Line item 13, while we're up in the enterprise, happy to report this year was the last year where operations has requested 2 vehicles. As we look forward to 23, 24 and beyond, we get on just a routine maintenance schedule according to our 12-year vehicle replacement plan. So as of current today, and we can also bring that back before the committee if you'd like, with every 12th year, the vehicle is, so if one was purchased today, according to our vehicle replacement plan, it's 12 years from today. That vehicle would be cycled out. So our vehicles and equipment's on a 12-year life cycle. And of course, there's some items that wear a little more, like the Vectors, and some that wear a little less, like the dump truck. So, but at 12 years, kind of our standard.
And the prices will adjust to allow for the electric dump truck.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
my mind was kind of going electric there,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, we have requirements, and we'll talk about that too when we get into the budget on the vehicles that we purchase, what percentage of them have to be zero emission and electric vehicles.
And then as we get further down into our 10-year,
Sorry, go ahead.
sure. Number 15, our 10-year tank maintenance contract. You'll notice next year is the last painful year with the large welded tank interior recoats, and then 2024 and 2025 and beyond, we're back to just routine maintenance.
Just cleaning.
Yes, sir.
How many years do we have on that contract now? Is it 10 years
9,
or 9 years?
Yeah,
we
it was
didn't
just
change it.
renewed a year or two ago.
Great timing,
yes.
great timing.
The contracts we do have in place, they usually start here. They keep paying off for us in spades. The tank contract, the booster contract, the meter contract, everything that we've established and locked in definitely is a cost-saving measure. Yeah, line 19. So,
19.
as Don mentioned, there was a little bit of switching. The 120 was originally budgeted for Mountain Well for next year due to the consolidation not happening. That's been retracted to this year. And the new rehab for a well failure at 125 is for next year. So again, we are progressing with Mountain Well. The equipment's on order. The request for service to Edison is in. So more or less, it's the same. It just, we had to put it on paper. Our booster rehab,
Oh, wait a minute, so you got under that, you have for 2023-24, 125 plus 115?
Different, I don't know, in terms of these red items?
In, not number 19, 23-24?
correct, that was a,
For the rehab?
We're gonna rehab 1B plus another rehab if it needed?
correct.
Is that the concept? Okay.
We know 1B and 2A are failing. They haven't trained oxygen, their production capacity just keeps diminishing. So we want to budget for one incidental failure plus a projected 1B and 2A. One of them, both are getting towards the end of their life cycle, and we're actually well past their life cycles. And that's what staff is requesting.
Okay.
Is there any need to rehab one of those this winter prior to the next budget year? Not saying that we need, we have to do that, but is there just something to think about? If they're failing and we get into next summer and they fail, are we going to be put in a position to where we need additional production? Okay.
We tested that just several months ago. There used to be a general consensus in operations. It took both wells to power the booster. It does not. So we would not be in a hindrance if it were to fail.
Okay.
Our booster rehabilitation, we budget $80,000 for 4 per year. Our SCADA, we have the $5,000 for the mountain well, and then just $5,000 for maintenance and site upgrades. Our PRVs, we do get down into line 23. That's our most substantial line, and that's for the service line replacements. Our goal is 150 a year. Please note, since we've established that program, we've never not met our goal. So we always do meet our quota, if you will. And then our water pipeline lowering project, phase 3. So this year we're working on Sonora. Next year I believe is Wolf. It's right in that wash as you go down Phelan Road. Tumbleweed, Butte Mere, Sonora, that kind of low section. That's not only the roads there that get it pretty good, but our infrastructure. And then our SCADA maintenance, and then we can actually, line 26, we can reduce that. I'd be comfortable lowering that to 5 to 10,000 instead of the 25 because the UCMR requirements changed, and we just found that out this week. So we can get that updated as well.
Yeah, and I would probably put 15, not 10 or 5. I would give yourself room because you can always adjust it the following year once you see a pattern.
And that's pretty much
Develop.
our kind of this year and next forecast for our 10-year CIP.
I guess for the next several months, we'll include this on the agenda for discussion as we're approaching our budget year. Lori's kind of already hit us up to kind of bring this to all the
She's getting
departments.
further and further ahead of herself on the, well, we usually start November, start doing this.
Yeah, December, yeah.
So yeah, so keep this on and make the changes. And so what, in summary, what are the biggest changes that you see trying to adjust things?
So I think if I were to summarize this, due to the expected drop-off in new service connections, we can push some of the future expenditures out a few more years. Most of that is the reservoir sites. One of the big ticket items on that is the 6A reservoir, which included some pipelines to get to that too. But with the testing that Sean and their staff is going to be working on is to be able to utilize the full amount of water in the tank or the logical amount at 6A, which will offset some of these other costs. So by doing that, we can help keep our rates reasonable. And coming up looking at the rate study, we may be able to put the rate study off a little bit further and not have any more expected increases just by making some of these cost-saving adjustments.
And just to add, over the last several years, Sean and staff have moved, or been able to move more water up to 6A. They've been creative in boosting up some of the boosters and redirecting some water, so that kind of helps in the short run. But and a couple of years ago, we ran into Edison shutting down a lot of power in our district. That kind of was a hinder on water supply. But this year was good.
Backup generators.
Boy, did
That's what
we
we
need to. With the PSP outages and everything.
That and hardening of the system, they had some work going on out here, so it was a challenge. And then, yeah, we had cannabis involved in that process too.
And you guys are comfortable moving all this out?
Yes.
Anything else? All right, well, we'll be revisiting this
Yes.
over the next 2 months. Okay, anything else with, that was part of item 6. So we will move to item 7, Smithson Springs.
Not a whole lot to update. I haven't been up there since it rained
Pretty quiet
yesterday.
up there, it's a little
Yeah.
rainy.
I'm
Okay.
sure flows picked up yesterday.
Isn't there a lag, or does it pick up pretty quickly?
Surface water,
Surface
it
water,
would've been
yeah.
screaming yesterday.
Yeah.
Try to get up there this week and I can report back next meeting.
Just no rush. State regulations, I guess Chromium 6 and,
Yeah, I guess we'll hear a little bit more at Aqua at the end of the month.
okay. 9, review of current projects.
As mentioned, this coming week, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to begin that testing of that tank in 6A or Zone 6. New well, Sean mentioned
It's getting
the
close.
well and the retention basin and property corners have been staked. Water for rent, rent for water. They were out there today.
So you don't want to have to truck it, you're gonna pipe
Much
it.
cheaper.
We're doing about 2,300 linear feet of 4-inch HDPE, a high line off the nearest hydrant, so we don't truck it. Southwest said they need up to 330 gallons a minute for drilling.
Yeah,
we will have as much water as they need.
yeah. I always say hi, but, okay. Mountain Well,
Mountain Well, along with the well, staff, Sean and staff will discuss the best connection point for that well.
okay,
So we'll be looking into that in the next month or so.
okay. Item 10, staff reports, anything else?
Nothing that's not in the packet.
Everything's pretty covered. Review of action items, let's see, prior meeting. Kim, was there anything
Yeah,
in
there
prior
were
meeting?
a couple, and I believe we did them all. So the Title 22 sampling for Mountain Well
Yeah,
and the general contract to the next board meeting. And so we went over that extension at the board meetings ago.
okay. Current meeting, I guess that would be just looking at well 14, I think.
We'll bring that back next meeting.
And we'll add
And the diagrams.
Diagram, yeah.
Yeah,
diagrams.
construction diagrams and that, where the pump setting is and stuff.
And if we add a capital improvement project in the agenda item, we don't have it in here, but somewhere, drop it in there somewhere.
You want to add a, well, that's setting the agenda, so.
Oh, okay.
We're doing action, current action items, we just, okay, yeah, so now we're on number 12, setting the agenda. You have another agenda item you'd like to add?
Just adding the CIP table for discussion budget.
Let's see, where could that go?
We'll put it at the end.
Yeah, I guess put it at,
It'll be new number 9.
Yeah,
number 10.
that'd be,
Would it be number 10?
Well, it'll be new number 9, and
Nine.
staff reports would become 10, action items 11.
it'll just move down.
Okay. That'll get figured out. All right, so that's setting the agenda. Anything else? Any comments from public? Is there anybody online?
Nope, nobody online.
Any questions, Kim?
I have no questions, thank you.
So there are no questions on the table. With that, we will adjourn at 4:39. Thank you all.
Thank you.
How about that?